Hi there. In this episode, we'll be covering what is the average cost to self-publish a book. Publishing a book could be costly, but it doesn't have to be. It's so easy to go on Google right now and find some scam company that's going to take your money and leave you in the middle of nowhere with farther and farther away from your actual book goals. I don't want that. Please avoid doing that. Do not do that. At least if you do end up working with a company, and there are some good ones out there, I'm not saying everyone's bad, a lot of scammy ones though. If you end up doing that, I want you to at least watch this video first to get some insights. By the end of this video, you will learn what you need to do for DIY self-publishing, what it means to have a professional quality book, and why spending doesn't guarantee quality or sales. And stay tuned until the end of the video for an opportunity I really think you're going to enjoy. Let's dive in. I think it's awesome that you want to publish a book, and I think it's awesome that you're exploring self-publishing options, that you want to be informed to make the right decisions for yourself. It's easy to just get pulled in by whatever company or person you find online and just end up wasting money and time and effort. I have a friend of mine. When I think about this topic, I think of a friend of mine who worked with a company to publish her book. We had finished the draft together, and then she moved forward with this company, and she'd worked with them before, and they were great before. But things have changed, and this company this time around was slow, was not really effective, was not good at getting things done. It was bad. It was just bad working with them, and I was on some of the emails and trying to coordinate and trying to keep things on the right track. We ended up having to hire an outside layout expert and cover designer to help work on the design that this team had worked on for 6 months and gotten nowhere on. And there's other steps that I helped with that they weren't able to accomplish in months at a time. It's just a shame. It's a shame to see those things happen, to hear those stories and the struggles. The struggles are real. But at the same time, I'm glad that you're interested in exploring what this process looks like, because based on the price points, based on the outcomes, based on the goals, there's so many different opportunities out there for you. When we think about cost and self-publishing, let's focus just on the bare minimum. If you do everything yourself and do only the cheapest options for every single step, with no promotion, no writing support, no editing support, no design support, you do everything yourself, you're looking at, we'll say, up to $500. It doesn't cost money to upload or even print books on platforms like Amazon or Ingram Spark. The money comes through in professional services, it comes through in copywriting, ISBN purchases, promotion, advertising campaigns, those sorts of things. But if you were to streamline all the costs and only focus on the costs that you need to spend, if you're looking at one ISBN code, it's $125, maybe copywriting is another $100 to $200. Yeah, so you're under $500. That's not to say that what you do is going to be great, but it's possible. Next category is professional quality. That means working with professionals on the editing, the layout, the cover design, and making this draft, this book, as strong as possible. And I typically ballpark that estimate at $2,500 to $5,000. Let's say an average of $4,000 for some editing support, maybe 2 rounds of editing support, cover design, and layout. And I think those are such important steps. Again, you can do these things on your own. You can design your book, the layout in Pages or Microsoft Word. You can create PDFs. You can use Canva for designs. But if you're working with professionals, I would say $4,000 is a good estimate. And then high end goes up from there. It really depends. It depends on the services you're paying for. You know, if you end up having your book ghostwritten and you work with a ghostwriter for your book, that might be a baseline of $30,000. So that's money that if you end up writing, doesn't cost you anything. Or it could be $30,000 or more. So it's this sliding scale. You know, same with book promotion. You could spend nothing on promotion or spend tens of thousands of dollars. There's a wide range there. But with high-end services, you could be looking at offset printing, you could be looking at specialized editions, you could be looking at a bestseller campaign where you're spending money to try to get people to buy the book in a certain window of time. There's all these things that you can do to open things up. It really depends on what you want to get out of it, what you're paying for. Something to keep in mind is that Spending doesn't necessarily equate to sales or goals. You really need to figure out what your goal is, what you want to accomplish from people reading the book, and then make it easy for them to take that step. Maybe it's scheduling workshops with you and your team. Maybe it's booking you for a keynote speech and spending tens of thousands of dollars. Maybe it's business opportunities and client growth. You need to figure out what you want the reader to do when they're done reading the book, because that's the goal for you. And then you need to match the book with those goals to make sure that your book is unlocking those goals. So often we kind of miss those opportunities. We'll go through the whole draft and then the author will say, oh, I really want to get keynote addresses. It's like, you didn't write that. You didn't even think that. Now you're saying it now, which is great. It's better to hear that now than after the fact. But at the same time, be clear about your goals, because then you can write to them. Hey, if you're interested in booking me for a keynote speech, here's my information. Easy peasy. Again, going back to spending doesn't equate to sales. I think about some of my clients who've hired outside publicists to promote the book, and they got visibility and they got interviews, and they didn't get the sales that they wanted, because the outcome of this book needs to be more than just sales. It really needs to be something bigger than that. And it's interesting when that happens, because some of the outcomes, being interviewed on national media, some of those outcomes are huge successes, but because they didn't actually drive the results that the person wanted, they were seen as failures. It's this difficult balancing act. It really is, but it requires total honesty and authenticity. Going back to those scammy companies out there, they're getting you to pay for things that you don't know yourself. They're exploiting your knowledge gap. They're exploiting your uncertainty, your confusion, all of those things. They're taking advantage of the fact that you don't know what you don't know. And it's difficult to see that, because you deserve better than that. You deserve better than to fork over money to companies that aren't going to help you to accomplish your goals. They are sales companies. They are not interested in helping you. They're interested in making money on their bottom line. And they need people to keep churning through this system again and again and again and again. I want you to avoid that, and I want you to think about, what can I accomplish on my own, or what are the things that I need to get outside help on to get me to the outcome that I need. There's so much that you can do on your end, copyright information, ISBNs, uploading on Amazon KDP, kdp.amazon.com. There's so many things that you can do that don't cost money, and these companies will prey on that, and they'll tell you, oh, we'll do this, we'll do that, we'll do this, we'll do that. Most of these things aren't that expensive or time consuming. They're just cumbersome. They're just click, 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 upload the right process. There's steps involved, but then there's other things involved with the process, like the editing or like the design or the layout, that you could work with professionals on, that those would really help lift you up. So you could get actually this great process of working with the professionals while not getting ripped off by all the other stuff. If you want to learn more about this topic, what is the average cost to self-publish a book? I'd love to talk. I'd love to learn more about your book, your message, your story, what you're trying to accomplish, and see if there's any way that I can help you along the way. I've worked on hundreds of books at this point. I've ghostwritten or written 40 plus myself, 4 national bestsellers. At this point, I feel really confident in my ability to help coach and guide people to the publishing process and beyond. And I'd love to help you too. So if you're interested in talking further, go to my website. It's goodghostwriter.com. You can click the link below, Good Ghostwriter. That's why I'm wearing this hat. And go schedule a call with me. I'd love to talk to you. I'd love to learn more about your book and help you along the way. Remember, a good book can change your life. I'm Dan Good. Thanks for watching.